So we were talking about Johnnetta. So I think I agree with you. I'm 31. I'm gonna be 32 in April. And I think I agree with you. I have not been in a Black women-centered space that has felt so authentically focused and grounded at the same time. Like there's a line for me, at least, between like too mushy, too unagendaed, and like staying focused. And Johnnetta Edie, who's like one of my big sisters, has like found that sweet spot in the middle.
It's a very, very sweet spot.
It is.
I mean, as complicated as my life is in terms of what I got to do, when, where, on what day, that is sacred space.
Ooh.
8:30 on Sunday
Sundays.
nights. That's the Win with Black Women Collective.
Wow.
So the other piece to this, well, there are many.
Yeah.
But another piece to me, or for me, is that it is intergenerational.
Yes.
Now, granted, it leans more towards your generation than mine, but you know what, Tiffany, it's still balanced. Because Mama Dukes and I, we could be like, we so old, we could each be representing about, you know, a handful of our generation. And it takes all of y'all to represent your generation. So I am perfectly happy. But I do hope that more folk who are seasoned will come into the collective, because I am a huge believer in intergenerationality.
Why do you think this space, I mean, I want to say it's because of Black women, but why do you think this space has been so easy? So I used to work at the NAACP. And I recently just left, and so there's a gentleman who's taking my position as National Director of all youth in college at the NAACP. And there's a lot of, quote, like, forced intergenerational organizing that sometimes it goes well, sometimes it doesn't. What do you think makes this space stand out so much? Why do we run so smooth? Why is it so sacred?
First, leadership.
Yeah.
I mean, I would put it this way. Good leadership is a necessary but not a sufficient factor in making something go well.
Wow.
And I think Johnnetta Edie is an exceptional leader. The other piece to it is that so often you have a group of sisters who are in one space professionally. You know, so all of these sisters are in higher ed and they like to get together and they do their higher ed talk. Our group, Win with Black Women.
Everybody.
Don't forget hashtag first. Win with Black Women. There is no sector.
It's everybody.
It's everybody.
Basketball, arts, politics, young people, elders.
It doesn't matter.
Everything.
Doesn't
matter.
Just do it. Just do it.
Everybody.
So I got to tell you, I have a passion for African proverbs, and you've heard me drop some in there. So I think it's timely for me to give you one right now.
Yes, ma'am.
The African proverb says,
I need to write this down. Okay, I'm ready.
okay, the young go fast. The elders know the way. What a powerful combination.
Wow.
Because we need to move.
Yeah.
Because the problems, the challenges are there's so many of them and they're complex. And we need to be moving to address them. And you're able to go, but I'm able to say, watch out, Tiffany. I know this road. And I think you're going to be much better taking this little route.
Yeah.
So.
And receiving that, I consider myself an organizer. Young organizers like us need that so desperately. I know that history repeats itself, and I see you wearing the Sankofa a Dinka symbol on your chain.
Oh, yeah.
When I did theater in college, my theater teacher always told me, in order to know where you're going, you have to know from where you came from. And he taught us Sankofa and the proverb, and I went to Ghana last year with the NAACP for the 400 years. Oh, we would be here for another 3 hours if I told you that whole story, but that trip changed my life. Changed my life. And I did my ancestry, my African ancestry. So I found out my family was from Ghana and Cameroon. And then we did 2 weeks there, and it was awesome. And I got to learn more about the Adinka symbols that I had no, because they don't teach you that in public school.
Of course not.
And I'm from LA. They never taught us any of that. But you say that, and us as organizers need the wisdom so desperately in moments like this. Granted, things might look or feel different because we have technology or whatever the factor may be, but that type of mentorship, that type of relationship, the type of like you said, giving folks the wisdom and we can go fast together. It happens in a lot of spaces. I don't think it happens enough.
Yeah. Now I'm going to give you an example
Okay.
of my fixation on intergenerationality.
Okay.
You know, I'm serving now as the president, chair of the board of the National Council of Negro Women.
Yes, ma'am.
When I ran for this position, I put forth 2 goals for this 2 million organization of women of African descent. I said, first, I want to work collaboratively for NCNW to have a seat at every table where social justice is on the agenda. Number 2, and finally, could we work to make NCNW more intergenerational?
Wow.
I mean, Tiffany, it's only about
wow.
caring for yourself. It's self-centered because I want this organization to go on. If it's made up largely of women who are in the struggle for quite some time, who's going to take it over?
That's right.
And we have just some amazing young black women.
Wow.
And I just used the language once and it caught on. And it's that women of my age, up to a certain point, we're the roots.
That's right.
But the women of your age, you're the wings.
Come on.
You're the wings.
Wow.
And so now in NCNW, sisters refer to themselves that way. They will say, well, from the wings point of view, I mean, it's...
I'm going to use that, actually. That's
it's
a
yours.
really good one.
It's yours.
I'm going to use that. That's
It's yours.
beautiful.
Yeah, yeah.
And there's no hierarchy with that, which I really love. And you paint the picture that grounds folks towards the earth and the wings because we can fly together. I think that's beautiful imagery. Because for some reason, in some of the work that I do, I'm not going to say for some reason, I know why it is, but there's always such competition that happens. And it's hard to navigate that often. Sometimes you can ignore it and keep working. Other times you have to slow down until other folks are comfortable or safe. I have, when I work at the NAACP, I have young people all the time telling me how they're trying to make improvements in the organization. And then there's the older guard, the roots, if you will, who will tell people not to do it.
None of that.
Wow.
And we have it in NCNW, it's in any organization.
Wow.
So that for women of my age and much younger, I mean, you're 31.
Yes, ma'am.
I'm 84.
Come on.
There's a half a century.
Come on, 84.
There's a half a century between us. For women of my age, there's just the tendency to wanna be bossy, to tell young folk what they ought to do. And it's not easily put aside.
Wow.
You have to work at this. You have to work at it. But I'm convinced that of all the, what word could I use? All the attributes that we need in our movement, one of them is to understand and practice intergenerationality.
Okay, can I ask you a question?
You can ask me any question.
Oh, I'm about, okay.
All right.
And also, I'm gonna need your cell phone number after this so we can keep this up.
You're
once a
gonna
week, 'cause
have
I'm
cell
in need.
phone, you're gonna have email, you're gonna have it all. It's yours.
You were the first black woman president for Spelman.
True?
Being one of the first, what were some of the things that you feel like you learned that have like support, or like lessons that you have gained or learned that have supported you now in the work that you do?
Yeah. Well, first thing I would say is that was magical.
In what way?
In a moment when Spelman College was 107 years old,
Wow.
it had never had
A black
woman president. So when people would
That's
ask
wild.
me why, I had a very quick, and it wasn't being flippant,
Yeah.
response. My response was patriarchy. So I come into this, I'm searching for a word, but it is almost beyond a place of sisterhood,
Yeah.
because it's rare, the way that we live our lives, to have a community that is so black woman centered. And that's what Spelman is. It taught me so much. I got to tell you one thought. You know, being the president, I had to spend a lot of time with my little tin cup, begging for money, right?
Yep, fundraiser.
My fear was that one day I would have gone somewhere getting money for Spelman, drive back on the campus, and on the top of Rockefeller Hall, I would see all of these Spelman sisters, and they would all be going like this. And the reason is because we told them they could fly. The lesson I learned of all lessons at Spelman is that if you see one, you can be one. When there was so much representing of black womanhood, it just triggered among the Spelman sisters, the students, this sense of bring it on. I'm a Spelman woman. I can do that. And no less was that the feeling at Bennett,
Wow.
a much smaller college,
Yeah.
but
Same impact.
same impact.
Wait, but you said if you see one, you could be one. You never saw a black woman be the president of Spelman after 170 years.
Yeah, but
Who was that for you? Or what motivated you?
But what I'm saying is, students are seeing themselves reflected in their faculty. Well, if she can be a microbiologist,
Then I could be.
then I can be a microbiologist. She's a president of our school,
Yeah.
then I'm gonna be the president.
But who made
of
it? Who
something.
motivated you? How did you know you wanted to be or could be the president of Spelman after 170 years? Were there women that inspired you?
Amazing and grace-filled women.
Wow.
My mom, I mean, talk to a black woman and it's a matter of time before she talks about her mom.
Really?
I can't tell you how many times at Spelman and Bennett I would ask sisters, well, who's your shero?
Their mom.
Who's your mentor? It was mama or it was grandmama. It was one or the other.
That's powerful.
And for me, yes, it was my mama.
Wow.
My dad, in many ways, was more of a feminist than my mother. She was not high sedity, but reserved. My daddy was Oh, everybody should have John Thomas Betts Sr. as their daddy.
Wow.
Tiffany, he could sit me or my sister on the floor, lock his knees, and get through our hair. Yeah. So I grew up with, you know, all of the evidence
Wow.
that men and women can be in a cooperative set of relationships
Wow.
that doesn't involve, I'm the man of this house.
Yeah.
And I would like my dinner now. But let me tell you about another mentor. And then I want to know who has been in your life getting you
Okay.
to where you are. So very quickly,
Yes, ma'am.
the founder of the National Council of Negro Women was an incredibly great, let's call her a legendary leader, Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune. And you're nodding because you know who she was
Yes, ma'am.
and is.
Yes, ma'am.
I was blessed to know her.
Really?
She and my great-grandfather were like the best of friends. She did the eulogy at his funeral. So if I didn't do right, there would be the spirits of folk like Dr. Bethune that would come and haunt me.
Wow.
So let's even this up. Tell me who has been influential in your life?
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
As an angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol, we've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, Dave.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
There are folks that have inspired me that I know and folks that I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
The folks that I do know is my mother.
I'm not surprised.
My mom is from Algiers, New Orleans, Louisiana.
Oh.
Her mother is Gladys Harris Fassett, who transitioned from this earth at 112. The day that Obama gave his last speech as president.
Oh.
We were in the hospital watching it on the TV. And at Tulane University in New Orleans. And so my mother, who moved from New Orleans to LA, met my father at Warner Brothers Studios. My mom and dad did special effects and craft service for the movie industry. And they were both part of the union, IATSE, and then had 3 kids. I'm the oldest. And
Girl child, boy child, your siblings?
I'm the oldest, my younger sister, my younger brother.
Okay.
And we're all a year apart.
Wow.
And my mom told me one thing in life: make sure you have fun and make sure you go to college and graduate. That's all I want you to do. And I was like, well, that seems pretty simple. My mom and dad split when I was 7, and my mom moved to a hotel Then we moved to a shelter. Then we moved to a 1-bedroom apartment where we stayed for quite a while. And then we lived in a 3-bedroom apartment when I got to high school. And this whole time, being the oldest of the siblings, you know, you didn't have time to really ask a lot of questions. You just had to make sure mom was good because she was working a lot, and then make sure your siblings were good. And I remember applying to college, and my mom worked her butt off to make sure I can have the fees to submit my application. We didn't have we had AOL Wi-Fi at the house, and it was the dial-up, so you couldn't use the house phone while you were on the internet.
That's
Or it
right.
would disconnect. My mom made sure that nobody was using the phone while I was filling out my application on the computer. She went out of her way. You know, it's funny, I actually had to thank my mom not too long ago, because when I was a kid, my mom used to do this really annoying thing where she would give me, from the library, the public library nonetheless, we would rent these books, this, the book that teaches you how to type and learn where the keys are without looking at your hands. And computers weren't a thing. So I was like, why am I learning this machine? I don't want to do this. And in this majestic black woman, she knew the future. She knew computers were going to be a thing. And now she was like, one day I want you to be a clerk for the courthouse because they get paid a lot of money. You should learn shorthand. You should practice the keyboard. So it was all these things that my mom poured into me that I didn't realize, obviously, would make me the woman that I am now, but that I catch up on. And I'm like, oh, my mama taught me that. So it's her. She's the reason why I'm resilient. She's the reason why I like to travel. I love the beach. I have her laugh, like all the things about my mom. There's a couple of folks when I graduated college.
Where did you go?
UC Santa Cruz.
Not a bad place to be.
It's not. Queen Angela Davis.
I was about to ask you.
Yes,
have
ma'am.
you had some teachings from Professor Angela Davis?
She did graduate school, but I did have a class from her partner, Gina Dent, and she taught black women in the law.
Yes, yes.
And I loved that class. That was one of my favorite classes. Bettina Apteker teaches there. I took her classes.
I know Bettina very well.
Oh my gosh, I learned so much from her. She was so dynamic.
And you know her partner.
Who?
Bettina Apteker's partner.
Yes,
Yeah.
Bettina Apteker, yep. Gina Dent, Bettina Apteker, her partner, Angela Davis. David Anthony is a professor there who's super incredible. And I got involved in organizing really 2 ways. One, the regents of the school system rose our tuition 32%. And my mom, who had told me my whole life, I just want you to go to college and graduate, she wasn't paying any of our family contribution to college. We didn't have any money. So when they raised it 32%, I was like, well, I have to take out more student loans. And I'm not really sure what impact that would have on me in the long term because I can't even see that far. I just know that taking out more loans and adding a bag to my name is a bad thing.
You were right.
And it's horrible. And so cancel all student loan debt. And so, so what happens is I got to college, they rose our tuition. I got mad about it and started to ask questions about how we fix it and who's responsible for raising our fees. There were some students who were undocumented at my school, and they had to drop out of class or out of the campus because they paid out-of-state tuition. And I didn't know what undocumented, I grew up in LA. Mexicans and black people, we just kick it together. We don't know what paperwork means. And so I learned and got politicized in that way and got angry about it and wanted to do something about it, found out who the people were, and led massive protests at my school and in Sacramento and at the regents meetings to interrupt their process so that they didn't continue to raise our fees. And when I was running for student body president, 18,000 students, 280 of us were black. Somebody hung a noose on my door while I was running for student body president.
Yeah. Here we go.
And so
Here we go.
I was looking, I felt upset, afraid, I felt rage, I felt all these things, and it was black women, like this woman named Carmen Berkeley, who's from Pittsburgh, who was at the time a president of a national student organization. She found me and she reached out to me and she said, let's make sure you're taken care of and let's support you in finding your voice so that you can fight these things back. You can lead a movement. I didn't know what a movement was. I didn't know how to use my voice. I didn't know none of this. I just knew the police, we should call them. And they were like, no, you're gonna fix this. And my whole road has been black women. It's the reason why I worked for the AFL-CIO. I worked for both Teachers Union, the Teachers Association, and the American Federation of Teachers. I was president of a student organization, and it was because I saw, like you said, black women in each one of these roles that made it possible for me to imagine it, but more importantly, make the way for me to take up the space. And I think that's been really powerful and incredible. I also love Fannie Lou Hamer's story and Wagera Mathai's story, and there's so many incredible black women. And now you, and we're going to tell the cell phone number after this, but it really is the magic and power of Black women that inspires me to continue to do this work.
I don't know if you know this sister, Melanie Campbell.
Do I know? The coalition builder, of course. Black Women's Roundtable, yes.
Melanie has an expression that captures what you're saying. She says, Black women got a secret sauce.
That's what it is.
It's a secret sauce.
That's what it is.
Now, I want to tell you a very quick story.
Yes, ma'am.
You are president of the student council, or however you put it.
Mm-hmm.
You are organizing against raising the tuition. I'm at Spelman College. I'm about to walk into a meeting of the board of trustees. And who's right there waiting for me? The president of the student council.
Wow.
Stacey Abrams.
Wait a minute,
because Stacey and I had a very special kind of relationship. She would come to Reynolds Cottage and we would sit in, that is the president's house. We would sit in the kitchen, and so I see Stacey and she says, Sister President, I want to come into this board meeting. I said, well, I don't know what your agenda is, but you are the president of the student body, so you follow me. We get into that meeting, and what does Stacey go to immediately and effectively? Why tuition could not be raised.
I do not know this story. Oh my God, keep going, keep going.
Well, that's it. And of course, well, the other thing I will tell you is that Stacey Abrams looked me dead into my eyes and said, Sister President, one day I will be the governor of Georgia.
I know you lying. And she was in college.
In
That's a
college.
powerful sister right there.
Her attributes are such that I can't even name them.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
That is, I had no idea she was student body president at her school. That's crazy.
Stacey was a force to be reckoned with.
Wow.
The other issue that I'm thinking of is that Stacey could never feel good about her major until we finally solved that problem. She would simply be an interdisciplinary major because she was interested in everything.
That's how I was.
And I bet that's exactly how you were.
I refused to focus on one thing in college. They was like, you're not gonna be able to graduate if you don't pick your major. I said, I'll just do all of them. I'll do interdisciplinary major.
Exactly, you see?
Ethnic studies and political science, and I did a minor in theater.
Incredible.
So I read about you, so correct me if I'm wrong, that President Bill Clinton at one time was considering you for Secretary of Education?
I'm gonna tell the real story.
That's what I wanted to know.
All right.
Tell me what happened, because I read something about Cuba and some brigades.
I'm gonna tell the real story. So Bill Clinton is elected as the president of our country.
Yeah.
And I got tapped to be on the transition team, which you know is It's a very complicated job, but the goal is clear. You are to help pave the way between the two administrations. So I was just learning more every day than I was giving. That was clear to me. That was fine. And then one day, a right-wing leading publication
Oh, gosh.
went after me and said, we hear that President Clinton intends to appoint Johnnetta B Secretary of Education. Put a pin in that.
Okay.
That was a period when I really got to know one of my sheroes, the Honorable Sister Alexis Herman. And I had said to Alexis Herman, and I know I said it to Vernon Jordan, I love what I'm doing, I hope I'm contributing, but I will be returning to Spelman College. I am not interested in a secretaryship. So the right-wing newspaper dug and dug and dug and dug until they came up with something that is true. But unfortunately, of course, they then pushed it through their lenses. What is true is that I had been to Cuba more than once. My first time going there was with a delegation of black leaders. People like Karen Bass.
Wow.
Remember when she was being considered for vice presidency?
That's right.
And the right wing said, she's been to Cuba. So
Wow.
there I was on a delegation with folk like Karen Bass, Robert Christman, who founded the Black Scholar. And we went as a group of scholars and activists from the black community in the US to learn about the black community in Cuba. But I went to Cuba for two other reasons. I went because I'm an anthropologist.
Yep.
And there is no human organization, no human activity that I'm not interested in, including a place that defines itself as a Marxist-inspired country. But the third reason that I had gone to Cuba several times is that I did work with what is called La Brigada Venceremos, the Venceremos Brigade. And I'm going to tell you, Tiffany, it was another situation where I couldn't stop learning because
Wow.
young and not so young activists would go to Cuba and work side by side with the Cubans when I did this, building houses. Now this is my younger years. I'm trying to compete with Angela Davis. My afro is out to here, and I'm just trying to learn everything I can learn. When the brigade began, activists would go there and they would cut sugarcane. So that is what happened in that situation.
Wow.
I never intended to be Secretary of Education. But you know, that is one of so many issues, problems in our country.
Right.
An inability of a lot of folk to see beyond their own little box. And here we are now with some black women and women of color that would be extraordinarily effective, and they're doing the same old, same old.
That is so freaking dope. That is so dope.
Yeah.
I read that and I was like, oh, this is the only question I want to ask her. This is amazing.
Tell me where you've traveled outside
I
of
was
our
about to say,
country.
do you know that I've been to Cuba twice? Best time
No me
of
diga
my
eso.
life. See?
Es la verdad.
I went to Veradero, Havana, and I didn't go for any agenda. I went just to vacation, just to be there. I got a tour from one of the professors at the university, and he taught me not only like where all the cool places were, where Che Guevara and all the things, which is funny because I didn't even know Che Guevara. When you think about Che Guevara, I think Cuba. He was born in Argentina. I was like, wait, what? So we learned so much by being present and by traveling and asking questions. And it just brings the books to life for us, right? And so Cuba was just a place that I fell in love with being there the first time. And then for my 30th birthday, I went back again and I just stayed there for a week and a half and had the best time. I went platinum that year. I was natural color hair, and then I went platinum, and then I just went to Cuba and had the best time of my life.
This is so special.
I went to, I've been to Japan, I've been to Palestine twice. I did a delegation in Palestine the first time and then the second time to go to a wedding. I just came back from Ghana, as I mentioned, last year with the NAACP. I went there for the 400-year commemoration or anniversary, however we should phrase it. And then, where else have I been? I've been to Mexico, Costa Rica, Thailand. I said Japan. I've been to Canada. I've been to Bolivia and Peru. I think I've been to 36 international countries. Oh yeah, I get up and go.
I would, yeah, I'm with you. I haven't counted the number.
Okay.
But I've been really fortunate to travel.
Do you have a favorite place you've been? Or maybe not even favorite.
Well, first of all, you know, my education as an anthropologist was centered in the continent.
Okay.
So in order to qualify for a PhD, I had to do field work. That's what anthropologists do. So I lived for 2 years in Liberia.
Really?
First of the 3 sons, I really have 4, but the 3 that I birthed was born there. So when I count up the African countries, it's somewhere around 17 of the 54.
Oh my gosh.
And then I've just been so fortunate to go to Brazil, to go to the place with the largest community of black folk, certainly in this hemisphere. I've done traveling in Europe.
Yeah.
But what I want to say is if I had the resources to make this happen, no U.S. citizen would graduate from college, maybe even from high school, without having spent some time outside
That's amazing.
of their own
I agree.
little situation.
I agree.
I mean,
that would be so
most
dope.
folk in our country are so extraordinarily xenophobic is really what it is.
Yeah.
And what happens, I think, when you travel is, yes, first of all, you just see another way of life.
Yeah.
But then there's the dessert, because the dessert is, for the first time, you really see things about your own place.
That's it.
And it takes that distance
That's it.
in order to do it.
That's it. And can I add a third layer?
Yeah.
You learn so much about yourself.
That's my point.
Yeah, like yes, where you come, yes, home. I can see America and learn America so much differently being in Phuket, you know, and it just feel. There's no way to describe that, and I don't have all the vocabulary. It's just you just know that there's a new lesson that you learn about the place that you're from when you go visit other places. I'll never forget. I was in Paris for the first time ever. It was my first. I'm a solo traveler, so I like to travel by myself. And I traveled solo to Paris, and I got to the hotel, and I gave her my passport so she can check me in. And she said, "Oh, you're from Obama country." And I said, "This is so funny that this is like the connection or the relationship of what when I say America, what identifies to you, or if I say California or I say Los Angeles, most people in the world don't know where that is.
That's right.
And I think that LA is so big and so gangster and so everything. And I'm like, you don't know, you never heard of LA or Hollywood? They're like, oh, maybe I've heard of Hollywood, but I've never heard of LA or California. Like, where is that? And so you just realize, one, how small we are. I learned so much about myself traveling, especially traveling solo, and it forced me to listen a lot more because I didn't have nobody to talk to and be reckless with. It was like I had to be more attentive. All my senses, I had to make sure I was using all of them because I'm by myself in all these spaces. You just pay attention to so much more and learn so much more about yourself. And I love it. I'm not going to stop traveling.
Good.
I hope and pray that this COVID stuff gets figured out.
Let's get rid of this,
please.
This thing, and yeah.
It's so incredible. That's so cool to hear that you lived there for 2 years. Would you ever live outside the country again?
I do have my list where I'd like to go before, hopefully I get to go to glory, not to the other place.
Amen. I believe it.
And if I start, I mean, there is no part of the world that I'm disinterested in.
Okay. I am disinterested in Russia, but there's no particular reason. I just don't want to go.
Okay. I've been to Russia. I just think, especially for us, as Black people, and I'll even be more specific and say as Black women, going around the world is a, in quotes, validation of the strength of our culture. There I am in the middle of a city in Japan. And what am I doing? I'm in a club where Black improvisational music, known as jazz, is being played. I'm in Paris. My brother is a jazz musician. He's a professional drummer. And I'm in Paris, and he's asking me if we want to go to a soul food restaurant. You know, our music, our food.
Everywhere, honey.
Our swag.
Yep.
It's around the world.
Isn't that powerful?
And then what becomes so problematic is when you have to own that large percentages of people in your own country do not value you and your culture. I don't know how we're gonna fix that.
I was about to ask you how we think we're gonna fix that.
I
You
don't know how,
either?
but I think we gotta work on that. I think we gotta work on that,
That's so dangerous.
Tiffany. So, Tiffany,
Yes,
I
ma'am.
think I better make a confession.
Okay.
I got a girl crush on you. If I could do some genuine magic and make, I don't know, hundreds, maybe thousands, maybe millions of Tiffany's, and then I'm gonna spread them all over the world.
That means a lot to me.
You know, I know this word gets kind of overused, but your authenticity is the first thing that grabs me.
Thank you.
And I really think that's something you can pick up pretty quickly.
Oh, you can tell somebody fake immediately.
I mean, the fake,
And I'm sure with all the people that you've met, you're pretty good at it.
I'm pretty good at it. And I just want to hope and to pray
Yes, ma'am.
that you're gonna remain safe and healthy and in the struggle. But I do want to ask this. I can't help it.
Yes, ma'am.
It's a little trite for a question, but I just gotta ask.
I'm open book.
Okay. 10 years from now, you are 41 years old.
Oh my God.
What are you doing?
I think I'm at the place where, so now I've been moving from job to job, no more than 3 years at a job.
Okay.
I am at a place at 41 where I've had a job for a minute, longer than 3 years.
Ooh.
Somewhere where I have the reign to do two things that I love to do: impact and change people's lives on the ground, and be creative. And I know that sounds really vague, so let me try to be specific.
No, it doesn't sound.
It doesn't sound too vague?
Not at all.
Because I don't know what I know what it feels like. I don't know what it looks like. I know that it is around civic engagement work. I know I'm still a part of registering voters and turning out voters. I know that. But I believe that people my age, I'm about to throw us under the bus just a little bit.
All right, go.
I believe that people our age have lost the ability to focus the discipline on the art of organizing, building relationships with real people and having real conversations, and not just using money or social media or analytics to move people.
Yes.
And so I want to be at the place where I'm there for a while, where they trust me to run whatever it is, campaigns, programs, whatever it is, so that people don't lose sight of it. And I'll tell you one of the reasons, it's not the reason, that I believe in this. I was talking to one of my staff members the other day, and we're trying to confirm somebody for a panel. I said, okay, cool. So they reached out to them with an email with a formal invite letter, and I said, good job. I said, did you hear back from them? They said, no. It's been about a week. And the staff person said to me, okay, well, I'm gonna move on and find the next person. I said, did you call them? They were like, well, no, I don't have their number.
Well, don't you think, oh.
Look at you moving around. When I tell you, Dr. Cole, that kind of stuff gets under my skin. I said, did you ask somebody for the phone number? They said, no. I said, do you know that I have their phone number? You didn't even ask me, and you're about to move on? What happens when the person comes back and says, I'm able to do it, but you tell them I moved on? You have to communicate with people. Oh, I didn't know. Well, I'll text them. No, don't text them. Pick up the phone and call them.
Real voice to real voice.
Period. So that it's the little things like that. It's being able to identify an issue and say, okay, this is a problem in our community. What's the solution for it? And then move people to that solution. And I'm not saying it doesn't happen, but I think the art of grassroots organizing is becoming like a historical story. And I'm like, that's the place that I want to be in 10 years. It would be lovely to have my man and my kids and my dog and wherever I want to live, but I want to be more of service in a space where I feel like I am doing God's work.
And she got a lot of work. Period. I
want to be there, and I want to be able to talk about the impact in measurable ways. Not, oh, we built an organization, or not, oh, we went viral on social media, not, oh, we convened 2,000 people, because I've done all of that. I built an organization, I convened 4,000 people, I did all these things, and da-da-da. I want to get to the place where we can say, here's how we got that police officer who murdered that black person to be held accountable and put on trial. This is how we canceled student loan debt across the country and made college more affordable. Here's how we won the fight so women can choose what they're going to do with their own bodies and white men stop telling us what we're going to do. Here's how we got clean water to Flint, Michigan and all the other places. And here's how we got people power in Texas. And I want to be able to explain it to people so they can replicate that. Similar to what you just said about the National Women's Negro Council. It's being able to replicate the model of intergenerational organizing and teach it to other people. And in 10 years, I think I'm building myself up for being happy and confident in that type of space. And I don't know what that looks like yet.
Oh, but just enjoy imagining it.
Hatred on the streets, a horrific scene, a white nationalist rally that descended into deadly violence.
White people are losing their damn minds.
There's an angry angry pro-Trump mob storms the U.S. Capitol. We've seen
We're about to see the rise of what I call white minority resistance.
We have seen white folks in this country who simply cannot tolerate black folks voting.
I think what we're seeing is the inevitable result of violent denial.
This is part of American history. Every time that people of color have made progress, whether real or symbolic, there has been what Carol Anderson at Emory University calls white rage as a backlash.
This is the rise of the Proud Boys and the Boogaloo Boys. America, there's going to be more of this.
Here's all the Proud Boys, guys.
This country is getting increasingly racist in its behaviors and its attitudes because of the fear of white people.
The fear that they're taking our jobs, they're taking our resources, they're taking our women. This is white fear.
That I know is different in terms of our generations is that your generation changes jobs, you could even say
So fast.
professions, sector of the whatever it is, multiple times. My generation, you get a job, you got a job in the post office, you're gonna have that job in the post office. You better try to keep that job in the post office. And so if you're doing what your generation does, which is to move many times for your work and your job. One of my sons taught me work and job are not necessarily the same thing.
What's the difference?
The difference is the work is what can move mountains.
Wow.
The job is about making sure there's a way to get to the mountain and maybe fundraising to
Wow.
go up to the top. Your work is your passion. Your job, you better have some passion for it. But that's your livelihood. Some people are really, really blessed. You're one of them because your job and your work
Praise God.
are intertwined.
I'm so lucky. So thankful.
You better be grateful every day.
So thankful. So
Yeah.
thankful. It's mind-blowing because when I was a kid, I could not dream. I didn't have the example when I was 16, 15 of what this was for me. And I didn't even know how to get there. I didn't know if it would happen. I doubted that I would even make it. And to see how God has blessed me in the last 31 years of my life, almost 32, I can't give thanks enough. And it is so cool to be able to say that I have made my passion. And people don't think about, when people say, oh, I made my passion my work, I always think like creatives or artists or whatever.
No, it's-
And in a way, we do that, and our commitment to the movement work is purposeful, it is art, it is being creative, it is being able to find that. And I wish that for all the young people who want to make a difference in this world. Okay, can I ask you an advice question?
Of course.
And I didn't think I was going to ask you this, but the spirit's moving, so I'm going to
Okay.
ask you. So I have gone from graduating college, I moved immediately to Washington, D.C. I've had a job that married my work, as you said it, for the last 12 years. And last year, we had all these plans, all of us did, about what we were going to do for 2020 and elections and da-da-da, and then the world shut down. And I became, as a national director at the NAACP, I became a therapist for all my young people because they were like, what do we do? And we're tired and the world shut down, when is it gonna open? So I became the therapist and the fortune teller for the NAACP. I had to take care of my staff who I had to manage in a different way because we're not traveling and their parents caught COVID, and so I had to be sensitive to. I was so tired by the time summer rolled around, and I promised myself that I would take a break after the election. And then after the election, the Georgia runoff happened, and I went to Georgia,
Of
and I
course.
worked in Georgia for a month.
Of course you did.
So I am now at the place where I am granting the promise that I made Tiffany D. Loftin last year and saying, I'm giving you the break, now you get to take it. Some of that looked like quitting my job. So I recently just quit at the NAACP. It's fine, because we talked about leadership development. I just gave it to an incredible young brother.
Okay.
He's gonna be the national director. And people said, I don't know what's next. I don't have another job lined up. And I said to myself, I'm gonna take the break to think about it. I'm safe where I am. I have a place to live. I'm able to take care of what I need to take care of. And I guess my question for you is, in this season, I'm calling it my season of Selah, my pause. What do you think might be some like questions or advice you would give me about taking a break for self-care or even like reflection? Because I think people think about like retirement when they get older, and then people have actually told me that I'm being really stupid right now because they've been like, you should not take this break without having another job. And I was like, you don't know who I think I am.
Yeah,
I'm taking the
I
break.
would never, ever say that to you.
Thank you.
I think that you will never be truly, truly effective in our movement if you don't take care of yourself. If I could wind
you're about to make
the
me cry.
clock back and get to be 31, I would have started, preferably at 21, with certain practices. Mindfulness, meditation, watching what I eat, making sure there's some movement, they call it exercise. So as you get to this crossroad, I'm going to suggest something that's just sort of popping out of my head. A piece of paper. I did not say go to your computer. I did not say pull out your handheld device. I did not say where is your laptop. Take out a piece of paper.
Specific. Yes, ma'am. Okay.
You can use a pencil or you can use a pen.
Anything, just not your device.
I want you to write a letter to Tiffany.
Okay.
I want you to write a letter to yourself that says, this is who I sense I am. This is what I do now. But let me describe in this letter to myself not only what kind of work/job I want and need. The most important question I want you to answer is, how will your next work make you feel?
Wow.
And if that next work/job makes you get up every morning, and when you finish thanking the good Lord that you could get up,
Amen.
you need to be able to anticipate some joy. Joy. Tiffany, I was so fortunate to have a very close relationship with Dr. Maya Angelou. And you know how many books she wrote.
Yeah.
You can imagine how many books she autographed. But she never autographed a book in a way that is different from what I'm going to share with you. Every time she wrote, joy! Exclamation. Wow. Maya Angelou.
Folks, Black Star Network is here.
Oh, no punches! I'm real revolutionary right now.
Support
support this man, Black media. He makes sure that our stories are told.
Thank you for being the voice of Black America, Roland.
Hey, Black, I love y'all.
All momentum we have now, we have to keep this going.
The video looks phenomenal.
See, there's a difference between Black Star Network and Black-owned media and something like CNN.
You can't be Black-owned media and be scared.
It's time to be smart.
Bring your eyeballs home.
You dig?
Out of the 60s and that struggle when we sort of acted like if you were having a lot of joy in your life, then you didn't belong in the movement.
That has not changed.
Okay.
That's the same thing. It has not
you're
changed.
supposed to be on this, and the more you have to give up and sacrifice,
struggle,
and you should be working all day long.
You can't
and
wear
into
that.
the night
You should, yep.
Until, you know, and this is also the beauty of intergenerationality, is that I can share with you that I know joy is important. Of course, this isn't fair because you've been here before. I don't even know how many times you've been here before. So it's a little difficult for me to share a lot of stuff, but make that next period in your life good in the sense that you know with your creativity, with your command of fundamental skills of on-the-ground organizing, that you are still, at the end of every day, able to say, I had some joy in this day. Whatever that means. Cooking up some kind of New Orleans recipe out of New Orleans, that your mama has taught you, whatever it is.
How did you know?
No day should be without joy.
That's beautiful.
And I heard you just sort of drop it in there, and then in 10 years, maybe there'll be this man and some kiddos. And now here's what I want to say. You can live the rest of your life without a partner. But if you do, there's some joy that you're going to miss. We are independent Black women, centered in our Black womanness. But there's joy that can come in a partnership. And I just happen now to be in a marriage that is full of joy.
That's so beautiful.
That is centered in notions of equality and equity. And all of that's waiting for you.
Oh, girl, say that again. I don't think the Lord heard you. Say that one more time.
I'm sending it up there.
We gonna touch and agree.
Yeah.
I'm so glad this is recorded because I get to go back and listen to all that again and again and again and again.
We're so connected now.
Oh, I love it. I'm so thankful.
I'm already thinking about how many times we're gonna be on the phone.
I'm gonna call you as soon as the next man mess up like Dr. Cole. Let me tell you the story about this boy.
Yeah, because
and I'm definitely gonna call you when I write this letter.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
I wanna know about this letter that you're writing to yourself.
That's gonna be beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
And I say beautiful because it's gonna be challenging. It's gonna be beautiful. I think that a lot of Black women have an experience at some point where we feel like we can't be the boldest and biggest versions of ourselves because it threatens other people. And I have been very afraid of that. Very afraid. And so when you were telling me the instructions for the letter, the first thing that came to me was, I know that that's going to be hard for me because I've been conditioned to make myself small to make other people comfortable. So thank you for that, for those instructions. I promise you I'm going to do that on my break.
You are the best project that you will ever have. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's been full of joy just to have this time.
It has been amazing.
Yeah. And I want to tell you something else about this time.
Yes, ma'am.
There's often this notion that a mentor is someone much older than the mentee, and the mentor is so giving that the mentor just keeps instructing the mentee and having the mentee learn. I'm not into that kind of relationship. I want to know what I'm going to get out of this. And today I've gotten an enormous amount from you. African proverb, she who learns must teach, and she who teaches must learn. And if we could somehow get a whole lot more of reciprocity.
That's true.
Into our relationships. You know, because so many of them they're lopsided.
That's right.
You've taught well today, Tiffany. Thank you, Sister Professor.
Oh. Thank you for the gems. Thank you for your time. Thank you for the African proverbs. Thank you for the joy in this conversation that I had. Yeah. Oh my gosh, I love you. This is gonna be great.
And I love you.
I'm gonna call you next week.
Don't be late with that call.
I promise you, I'm gonna call you before the Black Women Wins
call. Good. All right.
Thank you so much, Dr. Cole. Such a joy. And you're so gorgeous.
Should we have a toast?
Oh, wait a minute. Gotta get this on camera. Cheers to Black
women. To us, to Black women.